Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and welcome to Tuesday's edition of the Doctor Who Daily. And today we're going to talk about the Doctor Who Multiverse and asking, will Russell T Davies be taking us to the Doctor Who Multiverse? And we'll be discussing that. Ever since finding out RTD has returned, or is returning in 2023, as you can see, I'm really hyped, and I've gone back to doing Doctor Who videos. People didn't even know I love Doctor Who. Of course I love Doctor Who. Who doesn't love Doctor Who? In fact, the only other cool time-travelling show that's ever been done ever since Doctor Who started, really, is Quantum Leap. That's the only original thing that's ever been done. Everyone else has always tried to copy Doctor Who and failed. So, because of Russell returning, I've been re-watching the RTD era. I did Rose. Yesterday I did The End of the World. I was going to do The Unquiet Dead as well, but I didn't have time. That'll be later on today. So, let's talk about, let's analyse this and pick this to pieces. Is Russell T Davies taking us to the Doctor Who Multiverse? Well, I think so. And in fact, in the Chibnall era, we've seen some clues of the Doctor Who Multiverse. Even the Doctor Who magazine recently has been hinting about the Doctor Who Multiverse. And if you think about it, Big Finish has always been taking us through the Doctor Who Multiverse. We've seen different versions of the Doctor from the past. I've got a question for you Big Finish people out there. Has Big Finish Doctor Who ever done an original Doctor, a brand new Doctor of their own? I don't think so. I'd love to voice an original Doctor. I've always wanted to play the Doctor. I'm a trained actor, writer, director. I'd love to do it. I wonder if there's any chance. Probably not. I'm just aching to play my own version of the Doctor. Anyway, so if you look at the Chibnall era, there's lots of hints about the Doctor Who Multiverse. Let's talk about Sacha Dhawan's Master. Now, it's a near impossibility that Sacha Dhawan's Master actually is the main universe's Master. Let's go back to Moffat's series finale, not his Christmas special, but series finale. We have two Masters. John Sim returns, awesome, and we probably have my favourite Master, Michelle Gomez, in that episode as well. And the interactions between Gomez and Sim are absolutely fantastic, but it ends up that Missy stabs John Sim's Master, but John Sim's Master doesn't die and kills Missy. But the last part that we've seen at this point, John Sim's Master, he's still alive. He's not dead. The assumption is he was eventually going to bleed out, die, or regenerate. I don't know. Has he regenerated? Did he regenerate into Sacha Dhawan's Master? Well, what has Chris Chibnall said about this? Well, he's been, let's just say, economical with his explanation, saying there's no need for an explanation. Well, actually, Mr. Chibnall, there is an explanation needed. So as far as I'm concerned, let's call it Doctor Who Earth 1, because all the huge franchises now are embracing the multiverse, the MCU, the DCEU, and there has been a lot of hints, a lot of talk via Doctor Who media about Doctor Who embracing the multiverse, and this is what I think Russell T Davies will do. And I think, as I've already said, I think Chibnall's era is embracing it, and I think that Sacha Dhawan is a multiversal master, and the Gallifrey that he destroyed isn't Doctor Who Earth 1's Gallifrey, like our Doctor thinks, the 13th Doctor played by Jodie Whittaker thinks. That's not her Gallifrey. That's a Gallifrey from another universe. Now, calling it Earth 1 is a bit wrong, because let's call it Universe 1, because Doctor Who is a universe rather than an Earth thing, right? So, I believe that Sacha Dhawan isn't from Doctor Who Universe 1. I believe Sacha Dhawan is from another universe. His Master is from another universe. And I think the Gallifrey he destroyed isn't from Jodie's universe. So that there's still an intact Gallifrey out there. Now, I think this will be very exciting and very interesting. So that's what I think about that. So what are Russell T Davies' plans? Now, this is where I think it's going to get very, very interesting, because I don't think we are looking at a standard era of Doctor Who when RTD returns. No, I don't just see them casting a brand new Doctor and leaving it at that and, you know, having seasons upon seasons. I think that we've already seen that RTD loves spin-offs, and I think what we're going to get is a multiversal complexity of different shows, Doctor Who shows with different Doctors. So you could either have a brand new Doctor, you could have someone like Matt Smith having his own show, showing us Matt Smith's adventures we never saw on screen, that were off screen. You could have a Paul McGann Doctor, and Jo Martin's Doctor, without being kind of the main show, or she could be the main Doctor. Don't know, we could go back, because I think it's pretty clear that Jo Martin's Doctor is everything that the fans think she is. I believe she does come between that period, is it, of Patrick Troughton and just before John Pertwee? Is that the popular theory? I think so. So if that's the case, because there's always been complaints that we've never had a person of colour playing the Doctor. Now, by Chibnall squeezing her in between Troughton and Pertwee, they fixed that situation. A female Doctor who happens to be a Doctor of colour as well. It's perfect. It ticks all the boxes. We do live in an era of ticking boxes, so it could work. So she could have her own show. You could have 3 or 4, you know, different Doctors in different shows. And I think this is what RTD is planning to do. So I do feel we're going to be kind of going through the multiverse. And when you hear what Piers Wenger said before Russell T Davies was announced as the 2023 showrunner, that things would be dramatically different. That's from Piers Wenger's mouth, not mine. So Russell T Davies coming back is dramatic, but it's not dramatically different. It's one showrunner, you assume one Doctor. They have said in a press release the new Doctor will be announced in due course. So it's obvious there's a new Doctor, but they may not even cast a brand new Doctor. They may have 3 or 4 different shows with existing Doctors from the past. You could have David Tennant's Meta-Crisis Doctor in his own adventures. Would they bring back Rose Tyler for that? I don't know, because Rose is with him on the parallel universe, right? So you could have that as well. And so this gives the show so much potential. And this is why I said on Twitter yesterday that it's, you know, from 2023 and RTD's return, it's a very exciting time to be a Doctor Who fan, because what Russell T Davies is, if nothing else, is a very expansive creative. So I don't foresee it being exactly what it was in the RTD era, but I think he'll pluck different things from the history of Doctor Who. I think this would be amazing, because what the multiverse does and what it's going to do in the MCU and the DCEU, give everything something of what they like. As I've said before, because Doctor Who is an iconic long-running show. I mean, it's been going, you know, with Big Finish and everything, it's been going since the 60s. You know, non-stop, including books, comics, Big Finish, non-stop. So everyone has their favourite elements. And by doing a multiversal franchise with different spin-off shows with different versions of the Doctor, everybody gets what they want. A Jo Martin show, a David Tennant show, a Matt Smith show, a Paul McGann show. It might not be those Doctors necessarily, but they can pluck out different Doctors. And I think Russell will try and connect everything to Big Finish. Now, I know some fans have never really wanted that, but what I like about Big Finish is they bring these previous Doctors back. Sometimes they're played by other actors, because obviously those Doctors are no longer with us anymore. Tom Baker's done lots, Peter Davison's done lots, Christopher Eccleston, shockingly, surprisingly and fantastically, is doing Big Finish as well now, which is great, because we never thought we'd see the day. I'm shocked. I just think it's because he's working with Nick Briggs and he trusts him, and Nick Briggs isn't really connected to the country club that's always run New Who. So I think that's why Chris is quite comfortable with doing that. So what you could get, because Big Finish is like DC Comics and Marvel Comics in a way, it's got a lot of good stuff on it that you can adapt. And I think, you know, Paul Cornell, was it Paul Cornell who basically wrote a Doctor Who novel, and it was adapted in season 3. It was a two-part, great. So there's lots of mileage in adapting Big Finish stories that we've never seen in live action. And you know, think about it, bringing in companions, because there has been a few original companions that we've never met before in live action, certainly from the Paul McGann era. Now, I think Paul McGann was done dirty by not being given his own series. In fact, as much as I love RTD, I think RTD did Paul McGann dirty, because he should have been his next Doctor when the show was revived, because he never had the opportunity. Now, maybe Paul McGann didn't float RTD's boat, that's clear, and he just wanted his original Doctors, and that's fine. But I do feel that Paul McGann is owed his own Doctor Who series, so giving him a multiversal spin-off would be very interesting, because what Big Finish basically do is they just go back in the past and they plug out, what they're saying to you is these adventures are stuff you never saw but actually happened, which I think is great. Big Finish has got lots of great quality. It's a great thing, and you know what Nick Briggs has done with it, a multi-talented guy, Doctor Who fan, actor, you know, lots of passion. I mean, I'm surprised Nick Briggs has never ran live action Doctor Who, because clearly if you can run it from a narrative and story point of view on Big Finish, then it shouldn't be a huge leap for the same person to run the live action show. And maybe that will happen, and maybe Nick Briggs may get one of these offshoots and one of these spin-offs. I'd really like that. And so I think we're not going for a traditional one Doctor, one, you know, typical series, you know, arc, or whatever they would plan to do. I think we're going to have several Doctor Who spin-offs, but instead of using other characters, you know, they could just use other Doctors. Although you could have, what's her name? Alex Kingston's, what's her name? River Song, Professor River Song, that's it. You could have the River Song adventures. You had the Sarah Jane adventures, right? So why not have the River Song adventures? Even though she basically kind of died at the end of the first time we saw her in the Matt Smith era, and we saw her a little bit in the Peter Capaldi era as well. So there's lots of adventures that River Song has had that we've never seen. And Alex Kingston has great quality. I was actually calling her out. I wanted her to be the next showrunner of Doctor Who. She's written a Doctor Who story, hasn't she? A book, something like that. She's got a lot of great opinions. The fans love her. She's good to the fans. So I think Alex Kingston would have made a really interesting, unconventional Doctor Who showrunner. And I'd love to see River Song again. So you could get the River Song adventures, and that character is full of bags of personality. What surprises me about Chris Chibnall going back to the Master, if he's such an inclusive creative, why didn't he allow the female Master, Missy, to remain as the Master? Clearly, he told Moffat he wasn't going to use her, and that's why Moffat killed her off. So I believe that Missy should have remained the Master. You could have had a female Master versus a female Doctor. Pretty awesome, right? Now, Sacha Dhawan is great, and his casting, of course, is inclusive. And I don't have any issues with Sacha Dhawan, because he's a diversity hire who's actually very talented and works as the Master. That's how inclusivity should work. But it doesn't always work that way, as we've actually seen in Doctor Who quite a few times recently. But by doing the multiverse, by RTD embracing the multiverse, because RTD loves creating a franchise, as we saw with Torchwood and the Sarah Jane adventures. So this makes sense. As I said yesterday, Russell T Davies can only be Russell T Davies. He's not suddenly going to be somebody else who's done things that somebody else has done, right? He's going to do things to build out a new Doctor Who multiverse. Because what you do is, there's so much First of all, Russell T Davies is an excuse for Doctor Who to print money. That's why I don't believe the BBC have gone backwards by doing this deal with Bad Wolf Productions and Russell T Davies. It gives them full control of Doctor Who, and they're really going to make the BBC a lot of money. That's why they went back to him. This is why they did the deal with Bad Wolf Productions, because it makes fucking sense. And we're all excited about it, right? And so doing these spin-offs in the multiverse would be brilliant, and people would be excited by it. You could cast actors to play previous Doctors. You could do literally anything. Now, Jo Martin's Doctor is a very interesting one, and as I say, I think she is the Doctor just after Troughton and just before Pertwee. I think she's definitely that Doctor, and that's kind of exciting, isn't it? I think Jo Martin, from what we saw, is a very good Doctor. What's interesting to me, why has Jo Martin's Doctor got so much screen presence and personality, but Jodie's Doctor hasn't? Why didn't he do as good work in the writing of Jodie's Doctor as he did with Jo's Doctor? It makes no sense. It proves he can fucking well create a great Doctor. Why didn't he do it with Jodie? You know, it's mystifying to me, and it's a shame. It's a shame for Jodie, because Jodie has hints at times of being a great Doctor, and the writing's really good by Chibnall at times. The problem with the Chibnall era and the Jodie era, it's inconsistent. And I'll say what I've said in every episode of the Doctor Who Daily since I started doing them again. I'm not here to invalidate any era of Doctor Who, because I know there's plenty of people who actually love Jodie as the Doctor and love what Chris has done. And as I've also said many times, there are elements of the Chibnall era that I quite like. So I'm not one of those YouTubers who's going to invalidate anything you love. We're all Doctor Who fans, we're a family, we love the same thing, we just love different elements of it, and that's okay. So you don't need me to invalidate what you love, because there's too much of that on the internet with fellow geeks and nerds. You can love whatever Doctor, whatever era you want, and I'm here as a fellow Doctor Who fan to chew the fat with you. This is all this is. It's just about us talking about our favourite show, because it's a wonderful show and the Doctor is a brilliant character. What should the Doctor be as a character? The Doctor, it should be a balance. You should start with a blank page, but not totally. The Doctor should always reference now and again what he's been in the past, but not kind of go on about it too much. Because Russell T Davies, when he brought the show back in 2005, could have easily rebooted the show and said none of the past is canon. But he didn't do that, being a huge, contemporary Doctor Who fan. So he wasn't going to delete any previous Doctor. But what he did do, he didn't have Eccleston mentioning the past. He kind of drops I suppose, references and stuff like that. And David Tennant goes even deeper. In fact, the Moffat era really does reference previous Doctors. We even see images of previous Doctors in the first Matt Smith episode, and the title of the episode escapes me now. And that's great, when he's going up against, is it the Patraxi, whatever they're called, right? Don't expect me to remember names and everything, right? I had a skinful last night. My brain's being deleted. I'm a bit like the Cybermen, delete. But so he's the same character, or let's say they are the same character that the Doctor's always been. I don't want to genderise the Doctor either. Sometimes I think a lot of us can't help when we reference the Doctor or refer to the Doctor as a he. It's not personally done by me on purpose or to be controversial or to upset anyone. Because what you love is what you love, and you hold on to it, and you embrace the version of the Doctor you love. You love Jodie Whittaker's Doctor? Go and embrace it. Go and, binge her era. That's what it's all about. I've got my favourite things from other stuff. You may hate that stuff. You may hate the stuff from Doctor Who that I love. Let me explain to you how I fell in love with Doctor Who. The first time I ever saw Doctor Who, I was just going through the free channels we had back in the 80s, and I remember Tom Baker being on top of a water tower, falling down, and basically becoming Peter Davison. That is my first experience of Doctor Who. Imagine a young kid seeing that. What the fuck's going on? But it was pretty obvious pretty quickly what was going on, and it was a regeneration. And the element of the Watcher being part of this regeneration, again, was genius. What Doctor Who was in the classic series was, we don't have a lot of money. We're literally making this in a fucking cupboard. But what you need to do as an audience is use your imagination. And we know it's a bit cheap and, you know, everything shakes about, but just use your imagination. And it captured my imagination. So I loved the Peter Davison era. I didn't really embrace Colin Baker. I really didn't embrace Sylvester McCoy. But I actually loved Doctor Who the movie. And I know a lot of you don't like that movie. Again, you know, I don't invalidate what you love. Don't invalidate what I love. I think it's a great movie and it showed what Doctor Who could do with all the bells and whistles. Unfortunately, it was Americanised a lot because it was made by Americans basically. But Paul McGann was a great doctor. And I loved Grace as a companion as well. It was a great little Americanised style Doctor Who movie, and I enjoyed it, and I fully expected him to do more, which he didn't. So then there was a gap where we had no Doctor Who. Then one day I was in Smith's and there was a magazine, Doctor Who is back, and he's going to be played by Christopher Eccleston. I remember Eccleston from Cracker. I knew he was kind of this gypsy of an actor who never stuck to any role, did a bit there, but kept on moving forward. So I was very excited, but then I heard Billy Piper was going to be his companion. And I remember kind of analysing this, as I do my entertainment, and thinking, if Billy Piper doesn't work, because to me she was just a pop star. I know she started getting into acting. She did a limited thing, a one-off movie for the BBC just before she appeared on Doctor Who for the first time. But I just didn't see it. But wasn't she great, and wasn't she a great companion? So I was proved wrong. And you know, Chris and Billy were, you know, out of the two doctors that Billy was with, I liked her with Eccleston. I didn't see the love story in the first season. I saw it as a kind of an older brother with a younger sister kind of thing. I didn't see them as this big love story. Now, it was blatantly obvious what RTD was attempting to do when we got to the David Tennant era, but I think season 2 Rose isn't as likeable as season 1 Rose. That's something I've always said. And I always felt that RTD was trying to make her unlikable because he knew she was leaving. He's so smart. He knew he had to let her go in her heart, so she was a little bit too smug. When they get Mickey to press the button in the TARDIS and, you know, Rose is giggling, that's your fucking boyfriend, love. You know, and you're making fun of him. That wasn't very nice of the Doctor either. Although, more funnier now, excuse me, more funnier now we know what Noel Clarke did. But talking about Noel Clarke, Mickey Smith is a great Doctor Who character. Mickey Smith isn't Noel Clarke. Noel Clarke and Russell T Davies created Mickey. It's okay to love Mickey and to not approve what Noel Clarke did to those women. And you shouldn't approve of what Noel Clarke did to those women. But at the end of the day, Mickey Smith didn't do those things to those women. Mickey Smith is a great Doctor Who character, and it's alright to re-watch Mickey Smith and love Mickey Smith. That's my opinion on it. Comment down below, let me know what you think about that. So, great thing about Doctor Who, it has a long, expansive past, and it's always recreated itself. And Russell T Davies will recreate that through a multiverse franchise. That's what I think he's doing. And when a new Doctor is announced, it may not be a new Doctor. In fact, the first thing he's doing is the 60th, so he may bring back an existing Doctor to lead it. Now, I don't know what's going on with Jodie Whittaker. Jodie Whittaker may actually be Russell's main Doctor for the specials for the 60th anniversary. She may not regenerate until the end of the 60th anniversary special. Now, personally, I'm fine with this. You know why? Because Russell T Davies will be writing Jodie Whittaker's Doctor if this happened. I'm not saying it is. Which means Jodie Whittaker's Doctor, for the first time, will have the clay to mould her Doctor. And if that happened, I think everyone would be going, oh, we're sorry she's leaving now. This is quite good. But that could happen. But the announcement is that she's going to be in a bunch of specials in 2022 and she will regenerate. So sooner rather than later, they're going to have to tell us what they're doing. So we've got to play on the assumption that they'll do what they've traditionally always done, cast a new Doctor and announce it and create big fanfare over that new Doctor. I remember the big fanfare for Peter Capaldi. Nobody knew who the Doctor was, and we were all quite relieved that it was Capaldi. Capaldi's a great Doctor. There may be elements of the Moffat era during the Capaldi era that weren't great, but Capaldi's performances as the Doctor are great. Capaldi is a Doctor Who fan. Tennant is a Doctor Who fan. Thus far, they've cast 2 Doctor Who fans as Doctors. So I'm as fascinated as you to see where Davies takes this. Whether he casts a brand new actor to play the Doctor, or he creates a sleight of hand and brings someone back. Of course, Jo Martin could be the new Doctor, which means we're not going to the next chapter. They could embrace her adventures before she becomes Jon Pertwee, right? Imagine if we actually see in live action on our televisions or whatever devices you watch your TV shows on, Jo Martin become Jon Pertwee at the end of her story. So we could have a limited mini-series after the specials of the Jo Martin Doctor's adventures before she becomes Jon Pertwee. I'd be fine with that, but that would probably be one of his multiversal spin-offs. And the multiverse is actually more than having different versions of the Doctor. That's not really the multiverse, but you could kind of call it that. What would be more expansive if we saw different versions of Gallifrey, different versions of all these Doctor Who characters we've enjoyed since the 60s. Now obviously some of them are no longer alive, so that's not possible. This is live action, not audio. But you could have a different version of Rose, Martha, Donna. It could be very exciting. And different versions of these Doctors played by the same actors and different actors. In fact, if we really are embracing the multiverse, we could see a Doctor cast, a brand new actor playing the Doctor, but he's not from the central universe of Doctor Who, but from another universe. Russell could do that as well. This is where I believe we are heading. Comment down below. Let me know what you think about my multiversal theory, because it's been everywhere in Doctor Who media. They've been hinting about the multiverse for a very, very long time. And as I said earlier on, they hinted about it during, the front page of the latest edition of the Doctor Who magazine. So, if they're going to do this, the potential is limitless, and you wouldn't want any other showrunner to be in charge of this but Russell T Davies. This is what I want. This is what I think we're going to get. And by having different shows with different Doctor Who versions in them, everyone can be happy. You don't just have to have one version of the Doctor. To those people who are going to comment and say that is going to be confusing, it's not. We're all Doctor Who fans. We all know there's different versions of the Doctor. We all have embraced and watched different eras of the Doctor. It's nothing as complicated as that. And as I already said, we know that Russell T Davies loves spin-offs, creating a Doctor Who franchise. He did it before, he can do it again. But doing it by embracing the multiverse is huge and exciting, and the audiences will come back because he's doing something daring and bold and exciting. And that's what the Russell T Davies era was from the beginning. This is the man who did story arcs based on a word or 2 words. Bad Wolf, Torchwood, Harold Saxon. But what's genius about what he did with these worded arcs, you didn't have to spend episodes with them. It didn't ruin the standalone Doctor Who adventures in standalone episodes. You could refer to Bad Wolf, and then it was done. That's it. Bad Wolf, why do I keep on hearing that name? Oh, it's probably nothing. And that's it. That's it. And that's in Boomtown. They don't spend a whole episode contriving the arc. That's what's brilliant about what Russell did. And I suppose in a certain way, with the season 12 arc, Chris Chibnall attempted to do the same as well. I mean, the arc, the Timeless Child arc, actually I found really, really exciting. And I'm going to make a little confession to you that may not go down very well to other Doctor Who fans. I actually really enjoyed the Timeless Children. I think The Master was the highlight of season 12, but I do like what the mystery of the Timeless Children was doing to Jodie. It sent her a little bit to a darker, lonelier place. So that's what I mean. And this is my truth, not the universal truth of all Doctor Who fans, but mine. By doing all that with Jodie's Doctor, it made her slightly at times a little bit more interesting. The problem with Chibnall is when he wasn't dealing with that arc, Jodie's Doctor would regress to being Dr. Bland again. And that's not her fault, that's on him. But I am looking forward to Series 13, the final series of the 13th Doctor, and I think it's going to be okay. I've watched Doctor Who since she's been the Doctor. I've enjoyed some of it, and other portions of it I found very, very bland. But at the end of the day, it hasn't been as bad as some people say it is. And I can't wait to her new series, her final series, and then to embrace the 60th anniversary and the brand new R2D2, which everyone's calling it now. The second volume of the Russell T Davies era. This has been the Doctor Who Daily. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. And I'll be back tomorrow with even more Doctor Who Daily. Until then, goodbye.